Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of MetaMarket Weekly. I'm Justin, along with our co-host Fernando. It's already November. I can't believe there's 60 days left in the year, but it's been a pretty crazy year. And of course, we have lots more to talk about today. First, we're going to talk about Meta One and then markets, BTC and others, and then get into some interesting news. Fernando, how are you today? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'm doing great, and yeah, like you said, there's a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. But first, before we jump into all of that, we want to talk real quick about Meta One. First of all, I just wanted to mention that the price of Meta One, it's as stable as ever. Members were asking me the other day that why the price of Meta One is not so volatile. When Bitcoin and Ethereum and other coins, they go up and down almost every day. And I reminded him that the thing is that Meta One is actually a stable coin backed by gold. So I mean, yeah, the price will go up and down eventually, like we can see here in this chart, eventually goes up and down, but it cannot go below a certain price because the coin is actually backed by gold. So that's it's a very interesting concept. And right now, as you can see, we're actually at an all-time high. Well, the other day we got all the way to 535. Right now we're at 530. So we're just, we're right there. And I don't doubt that right now right now we're kind of starting a new bullish cycle. And I don't doubt that very, very soon we're gonna see that the price of Meta One coin will keep increasing. But let's see how the market reacts. But anyways, I know you also wanted to talk more about Meta One. Justin, what do you want to share with us?
Yeah, just kind of want to talk about just end of the year. We're really pushing forward here, excited about the audit completing and also the release of the new Light Wallet, which I think everyone's going to find a lot more easy to use and user friendly and all that fun stuff. So, and then of course we're going to be getting into planning out the year for 2024 very soon. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very excited about things to come. The best is yet to come, and yeah, we'll just continue to push forward here and every single day get better and better, stronger and stronger, and have more and more people joining the team and joining the community, which is really fun to see. And yeah, so that's about it.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's only around 60 or 59 days until next year. I
Yeah,
really feel that this year went by very fast. I don't know. What do you think, Justin? Do you feel
it's
the same
nuts.
way, or is it just me?
Yeah, it's really crazy how fast this year went. I mean, of course, people say, as you get older too, time seems to go by quicker, which I do agree with. I feel like it's
Yeah.
it's nuts when but yeah, I feel like this year especially just like clicked by. Like I was just saying to my wife, I feel like we just had our New Year's Eve party last week and it's already
Yeah.
November and New Year's is around the corner again. So super crazy, but this has been a really interesting year in the world. And let's just see what 2024 brings. I don't know. I think perhaps we'll see some more movements towards freedom, movements towards humans being free, all of those fun things that we all work towards every single day that are super important for our future generations. So that's what I just
Absolutely.
continue to visualize, that 2024 is a year of liberty and freedom and more happiness and yeah, just freedom around the world for everybody.
Absolutely. I agree. I actually feel like 2023 was a year of chaos, not just in the markets, but overall. We had a war in Ukraine, and then a war in Israel, and it's just I don't know. I feel like it was a crazy year, but I feel like 2024 might be a year of resolve. I feel like maybe a lot of problems are gonna be fixed. I hope so because
Yeah.
we can only take so much. And the people are tired. I can see it anywhere. I've even seen Jewish people that they're angry at Israel. I mean, they're like, we don't want to be killing anyone. We don't. I mean, it's pretty much the government. It's like this. I shared the other day with our group an image that has black ants and red ants, and they're all inside a
Yeah,
jar. And it
yeah,
says, when the black ants and the red ants they're inside the jar, they're just friendly and they're just chilling and they're just interacting. But when someone comes and shakes the jar, the ants start attacking and killing each other. So it's the same thing. We at the end of the day, we all just want to love and be loved and be happy, and enjoy our time while we can in this world, being alive. And it's hard to do it when we have people shaking the jar that they're making us fight against each other, when in reality we don't really have a reason to hate each other. We're just trying to be happy. So I don't know. I mean, I just sharing my 2 cents. I feel like everyone's tired of the government now. I feel like everyone now, that everyone has a phone, access to the internet, and we're all starting to find out and realize that the real guilty people here are the people in power, not the civilians. We just want the same. We just want the happy life, have fun. And I don't know, it's just interesting to see how everything is coming, and we'll see how 2024 plays out. But in my opinion, I feel it's going to be a good year. I feel that the market's going to recover. I feel it's going to be a bullish year. And yeah, let's see how it goes.
yeah.
But
And I hope it's a huge year of change and in a positive direction for humanity.
yeah,
That's
I
what I
think it
hope.
will.
Yeah.
I,
So
I think
what are you thinking about the market right now? What do you think where do you think BTC is going to go from here? We're kind of plateaued at 34, it seems like.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me bring this up. So, well, two things to consider here. First, that the RSI is already at overbought. So if we stick to the technical analysis, a correction is due right now. But you know how these two last weeks we had a movement up, and the reason was, there was really no reason why it should be moving up so quick. However, there were external factors. There were reasons why the market pumped, and those reasons were the ETFs from BlackRock. First, there was a pump because there was like a rumor that the ETF was coming, and then BlackRock released on their balance sheet of all the ETFs that they offer. They published the Bitcoin ETF, so that pushed the market. Even though the charts are not looking like they're gonna go up, when there's an external factor that has a lot of influence, they'll move up. So right now, what I feel is that if there's no release of an ETF between now and December, I have this scenario that I have played out. This brush line that I have is in case of a ETF. If there is an ETF released right now, we're gonna see something like this, and then there's gonna be a pullback. Pullbacks are usually of about 30%. So if we go all the way up here, we could see Bitcoin go all the way back to somewhere on this area. We'll see. But if there's no release of the ETF anytime soon, I think that the market could do something similar to what we've seen it do previously on these pullbacks. Maybe do go something like this, and then go back somewhere to this level, and then after the halving, then we can expect it to go all the way up. I actually have I'm gonna share a scenario from one of the people I follow on Twitter, and he's saying that every cycle is different. Every cycle is different, but there's similarities. And this trader is saying that this cycle, I think this is the fifth cycle, is very similar to the one from 2013 to 2017. So not to the previous one, but the one previous to the previous one. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it looks similar. I mean, if I take a look at it right now, it does look very similar. And I don't know, maybe this scenario can play out. I do feel like if this plays out, it's definitely because there's gonna be the release of an ETF. I personally know because I've been following the situation very closely, and I know that the deadline for the first ETF is on January 10th. So what's gonna happen? I don't know. Could be that there's no ETF release right now, and we just stay at this level, you know, between 35, 32K. Then we have a pullback that brings the RSI down, like it's happened before. You know, we can see it happen on the previous cycle. And then after that, we're gonna see the beginning of the bull market. So I don't think it's gonna be anytime later than January because the first ETF, there's like 7, 8 ETFs waiting to be approved. But the first one, I think it's from Valkyrie. And the final deadline, you know, they can push the deadline, you know, up to 4 times. And the fourth and the last time is in January the 10th. So we'll see what's gonna happen. You know, this scenario could play out or it could be the other one. But definitely I can tell you that January, February, the market's gonna pick up very, very cool, very nice. And after that, on April, we have the halving. And as I've said before, the halving is a scenario that, you know, pretty much makes it so that the price of Bitcoin increases. Why? Because supply, you know, you have miners that are mining the Bitcoins. And since the mining rewards are halved, you know, let's say that right now you get 4 Bitcoins per block, I don't know, then you're gonna get 2 Bitcoins per block. So you still waste the same amount of energy to mine the block. So it's gonna, you know, by math, by logic, by you know, by numbers, the price of Bitcoin has to go up. Why? Because it costs the same amount to mine a block and the rewards are slashed. So this is a future on the monetary system. It's a future that makes the price of Bitcoin increase. So everything's looking great. You know, if there's any bear right now, if there's any doubters, I know there's a lot of people that still do not understand blockchain and they're like, oh, Bitcoin is a scam and all that. It's not. You know, the real scam is fiat money, where they just print money out of thin air, cause inflation, start wars, and you know that's the real scam. This is actually a solution to the scam that is fiat money. I know we've said many times, and I know you agree with me, Justin, that there's things that need to be fixed with Bitcoin, and I agree. But you know, if we compare it to the US dollar, you know, it's gold against
Oh yeah, it
trash.
doesn't compare. Yeah, for sure. Well, going back to what you were talking about before, though, with the previous cycles, I mean, I think the extenuating factor too, right, is that looking at that pre-COVID cycle versus now, I mean, that it's a completely different world, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, who's to know if we can see? I mean, you know, I understand cycles repeat themselves, but who knows? You know what we're going to see now in that we're kind of living in this world that's just completely changed. I mean it's totally different from
Oh yeah.
pre-COVID to now. So as much as
And
I don't like to say that, but it's the truth.
yeah. No, and this cycle is very different because this is the first cycle of all previous cycles that has institutional money in it. So all previous cycles are just a gamble. You know, it's just like, oh, is Bitcoin legal? Is it illegal? Is it going up or down? We're just gambling. You know, is the technology gonna work? Is it gonna work? But now in this cycle, it's already like, hey, we already got I think already 2 governments accepting Bitcoin as legal tender. One of it is El Salvador. The
Yep.
other one, I think it was Zimbabwe or somewhere in Africa. I don't remember. And we already have other countries that are looking to make Bitcoin legal tender, like Argentina, Thailand. I believe Switzerland's also looking to make Bitcoin legal tender. So we're already past oh, is Bitcoin a scam or not scenario. We're already at the scenario where, hey, it looks like the US dollar is a scam. It looks like they're printing money out of thin air, and all the economies in the world are linked to the US dollar. So all the countries in the world right now, they're scratching their head, and they're like, hey, I don't agree with this. These guys are just printing money out of thin air. They're making everything more expensive. It's not worth it. This is a shit coin, like they would say, and
Yeah.
we're not even considering it anymore. It's already a done deal.
Yeah.
We already had a situation where BRICS, which is Russia, China, India, what is the Brazil, it's several countries. They already got together, and they were proposing a new reserve currency called the BRICS currency that's going to be backed by gold. And the reason why they proposed that is because we all know that the US dollar is a scam, and that the scam is falling apart.
Yep.
It's very interesting because we were talking about this the other day, that the opposition, Brazil, Russia, and all those guys, their idea to the problem with the US dollar is to create a currency that is exactly what Meta One is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not on the blockchain, So
Yeah.
if it's not on the blockchain, it's not a great idea because it's centralized and it can be manipulated. But if it's on the blockchain, it's immutable. It's public. Everyone in the world can see what's going on.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. It brings my hopes for Meta One super high to believe that Meta One could be a reference to the currency market, because it is the solution that these governments give for the US dollar, which is a trash coin, is a coin that is exactly like Meta One. So I don't know. It makes me happy to be a part of the project, because they just came up with this idea in the year 2023.
Yeah.
And Meta One has been around for what, like 6 years?
2017.
2017. So yeah, we've been around the block, and once we get everything working properly, and we have adoption, and we have everything going on, Meta One could be a top dog in the currency market, not just
Absolutely.
cryptocurrency. Could be
That's
a
the
major
plan.
That's the plan. That's the plan. And with your help, the help of our viewers, with the help of everyone that's interacting with the Meta One platform, we can make this possible. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that let's just remember that this is not just about making money and making profits. It's about the people that are in control right now. They don't care about you. They're causing major inflation. They're financing wars. They're doing something terrible. And this is not only a way to make profits, but a way to take this power away from them. Because every dollar that you convert into Meta One or Bitcoin, or anything that's not the US dollar, is $1 less, is one person less participating in their scam. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that,
No,
Justin.
I 100% agree with everything you said. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a no-brainer, and our community knows it. I think more and more people are realizing it, and we're looking for ways to get out, because it's nuts. It's really crazy. I was talking to Robert the other day, and he was saying, I did some traveling lately, and I just realized how much inflation goes away when you get off the US dollar, even and you like go to some other currency, and it's just like, think about how especially the opportunity that Meta One has in doing that, because then if you're actually transacting in a currency that has gold backing or asset backing, you don't have this craziness that's going on in the centralized system. where you're talking about right here how the US Treasury, it has to borrow more and more and more money. And, I just read an article yesterday about how we're coming to this singularity point where the gross GDP and the amount of money that the US government brings in taxes is going to equal the total amount of money that it costs to make those interest payments back to the central bankers. And you have to think about that. That means that we get to a point where the government can't do what they've been continuing to do, which is borrow, 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 borrow.
So that means
Because
that there's no profit, right? So I mean,
well, but there's no money. There's no money to even pay
yeah,
the interest payments. So then, if you keep on borrowing at that point, you default because you're not going to be able to pay your interest payments. And the thing is what people don't realize is that where the U.S. is borrowing money from is they're borrowing money from a private bank. The Federal Reserve is a private entity. It's
yeah,
a private bank. It's not a part of the U.S. government. And a lot of the creditors and things that buy Federal Reserve bonds, etc., are countries like China and Japan. And if they stop buying them, then there's no one to lend money to anymore that will borrow money to the U.S. So it's like,
it's a
we're
major
coming
scam.
to this precipice, and it's crazy because we're going to have another debt ceiling thing again, illusionary
Yeah,
thing.
in
um
2026.
and uh and it's the same sort of thing over and over again. It's just like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So we know that these people are doing this. We know that they're corrupt. We know that they're stealing money. We know that taxpayer dollars are not going towards the things they need to go to. And we know that all of these things. So what are we going to do about it? We got to do something. That's what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
So yeah, anyways, yeah, nuts. In this first story that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and I guess the only thing we can do about it is find a way to not participate in their money, because the way this scam works is that as long as you keep using the US dollar, you're giving them power to keep running the scam, right? But, at the end of the day, you need the US dollar to pay for your food, for school, for everything. So the only way to fight this is to find something that's appreciating against the US dollar. Something that if you hold your US dollar, that's the worst thing you can do with your money, because as you can see from this article, the US Treasury is going to borrow 776 billion in the final 3 months of 2023. So that's almost $1 trillion in the next 3 months. So right now the deficit is for somewhere around $34 trillion that the US government owes. So if they're gonna print $1 trillion in the last 3 months, so that's $1 trillion is like 3% of all the money supply that they owe. So what this really means in logic, in common sense, in the numbers, is that in the next 3 months, everything is going to be 3% more expensive, because that's how the economy works. If you print money, let's say that right now there's a debt of $34 trillion. Once you print double that amount, once we reach $68 billion, that means that your money is 100% worth less
Yeah,
than it is right now.
yeah,
So if a Hershey bar was $1 right now, by the time they print the $68 trillion, the Hershey bar is now going to be $2. And that already happened, in the between 2020 and 2023. They printed, I think that the debt was somewhere around $18 trillion, and right now it's $34 trillion. So they already did that in 3 years.
And then think about that before that, since 1971, the dollar, or maybe it's actually 1913. I don't remember the exact year, but the dollar has lost like 99.8% of its value. So we've
Yeah,
already lost all of this value, and then we just did this, and now that they want to, it's mind blowing. It's nuts. It's just like, why are we still in this? And this is the reason why we created Meta One. It's the reason why we're doing what we're doing. It's the reason why more and more people are getting out of the US dollar, including major countries around the world, because it's just, like you said, it's a shit coin.
it's a scam. It's a scam. It's a
Yeah.
scam. And like you were saying, the government is borrowing money that they don't have, and they're borrowing it from private banks. That's the hustle. That's how the scam works. That the private banks, the people from the private banks, they're American citizens. They're people. It's pretty much, you are the bank and you're also the country, and you're borrowing the money to yourself, so you don't have to pay it to anyone. And it works different in other countries, because you have the G7 and you have the G20. So the G7 are all the countries that won after the Second World War, and all of these countries, they're pretty much the same. They're the United States and their friends. So these countries, they can print all the money they want. They can print Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, France, Japan. All these countries, they can print all the money in the world. They can do whatever they want with this money, and they don't have to pay it to anyone. Why? Because they own the banks, so they don't have to pay it to anyone. However, if they print a lot of money, they create inflation. So pretty much, even though they don't have to pay anyone, we end up paying it. The American citizens, the European citizens, everyone in the world ends up paying the price, because all economies are linked to the US dollar. So even though I'm in Mexico, and it has nothing to do the American economy with the Mexican economy, it does. Because if the price of the US now, a I don't know, a pile of wood is now more expensive in the US, and guess what? Mexico buys wood from the US. So now we have to pay more. So it affects everyone. And if you're a country from, the G20, like Mexico or Brazil or whatever other country you want, and you want to print money, you cannot do it, because you don't own the printer. You have to go nicely and tell the US, like, hey, can I borrow money? And they're like, for example, what happened to Argentina? They're like, hey, we need money. Can we borrow money? And they're like, sure, yeah, you can borrow money, but you have to pay interest. And if you don't pay interest in time, we're gonna raise your interest. And if you don't pay those raised interest in times, we're gonna raise it and raise it and raise it and raise it until your currency is worth nothing. And that's what happened to Argentina. Argentina came by to the G7, to the IMF, and hey, can we borrow some money? And they borrowed a lot of money when their country did not have the GDP to make up for the interest. So they just signed their own debt note, and that's what happened to Argentina. And that's what's happening to a lot of countries like Lebanon, Turkey, a lot of other countries. Venezuela, I think it was a different situation. I think Venezuela had something to do with the U.S. wanted the uranium and petroleum from Venezuela, and they said no. So they told them, okay, we're gonna sanction you from everyone in the world. Mexico, if you do deals with Venezuela, you're in the blacklist. Argentina, if you do deals with Venezuela, you're in the blacklist. So they blacklisted Venezuela, and pretty much their economy went to hell. But what I'm trying to get at, that the people in control of the money, they're evil. They're bad people. I mean, just imagine what they did to Venezuela. They're like, oh, you don't give me your resources? Well, you're blacklisted from the world. Or what they did to Argentina. Okay, yeah, we lend you money, but if you buy it, we're gonna destroy your economy. And they do it. I mean, if you're not part of the G7, you cannot do it. But if you're part of the G7, you print all the money in the world, and you don't have to pay it, and the citizens have to pay for it. And when I say citizens, I mean the citizens of everywhere in the world, because again, like I said, if the price of wood goes up in the US, it goes up everywhere. So that's where we're at right now. We're in a situation where the government keeps printing money that they don't have, and we're paying the price. And in the following 3 months, they're gonna print almost $1 trillion. And I think it was like in January or February that the government was about to default under debt. And they're like, are we going to default or not? Are we going to default or not? And they signed a bill where they permitted, I think it was like 23 more billion dollars in the next all the way to 2026. So what that means is that they signed a bill that allows them to print $26 trillion between now and 2026. What does that actually mean? Is that between now and 2026, everything's going to be about between 85 and 90% more expensive, because they're going to double the amount of all the money there is. And once we get to 2026, you're going to have to take a decision. Do we default on the debt, or do we print more? If they default on the debt, there's going to be an economic depression. It's going to be even worse than a depression. The economy is going to collapse, and it's going to be a threat to national security, because they're not going to pay the army, they're not going to pay anyone. There's going to be a major threat to national security. Or the other option is to keep printing money. So we're trapped in a loop of there's no way out of it.
Yeah, this is why we need a different system. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Or we create a new system and we tell the people in control, hey, you guys suck, get out of here. We're not gonna keep playing this game. We create a new financial system that's sustainable, and we fix the economy.
Yeah.
So this is doable. I mean, we just have to think really hard and find a way to fix this. I don't know. I was thinking that one of the possible solutions would be to do like a fork of the US dollar, kind of like what Luna did with Luna 1 and Luna 2. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, but we need to find a solution before the end of this bill, which is in 2026. Because if we don't find a solution before then, and we default on the debt, we're gonna be invaded. Is all our enemies, Russia, North Korea. All of our defenses are going to be down. There's going to be no money to pay for the military, for the Navy. And people are going to be like, well, why should I be fighting for the US if I'm not being paid? Or the other scenario is they're going to print more money. I know they're not going to default on the debt, because if they do, it's a major threat to national security. They're just going to print more money. And then now a Hershey bar is going to be $5, and the salary, it's still $10 the hour. So the system is already the system already broke apart. We're already on borrowed time, and it's not possible to keep asking for more money, because if we keep asking for more money and inflation keeps going up, the hourly rates of our citizens still remain the same. Still $10, still $15, and rent keeps going up. The Hershey bar keeps going up. Milk keeps going up. People are not going to work. They're going to be like, okay, if I am getting paid and this amount of money is not enough to survive, then why not just not work at all? I still cannot survive, so why give away my energy and my time while I still cannot survive? Well, I can just loot and steal and do other things, because that's the situation that we're living right now. So it's a very bad situation. I don't know. I think I went too far explaining what's happening and what's going to happen. But it's exactly what's happening right now, and exactly what's going to happen if we don't find a solution to the US dollar between now and then. It's crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but that's exactly where we at right now. And another situation that we have right now with the US dollar is the high interest rates that there is right now to borrow money. So let me bring the chart right now. So we're at the highest level that we ever been in 20 years. Right now, the interest rates are at 5.5. So that means that right now,
that's the interest rate. Yeah.
It's super high. So what that means for those of you who are not sure what it means, it means that borrowing money right now is more expensive. So if you want to borrow money to buy a house, to open a business, to do whatever, you have to pay more interest. So people aren't really borrowing money right now because, you know, if you borrow money, you're signing a debt sentence, and you would think like, okay, well, that's good, right? Because if we're not borrowing money, you know, that means that inflation is going down. No, because the government just, even if you're not borrowing money, they are, you know. And if a civilian borrows money, you know, they're not gonna borrow a lot of money. You know, we've been borrowing money for decades, and you know, we have never borrowed more than $1 trillion a year. I don't think we have ever borrowed more than $100 billion a year. And the government, you know, in the next 3 months, they're gonna borrow $1 trillion in 3 months. So pretty much what they're doing, they're limiting you to have financial power. They're limiting you from buying a house. They're limiting you from doing business opportunities, while they finance wars, while they steal your, you know, your food, while they steal your land, while it's just terrible. And you know, I know it sounds pessimistic, but it's exactly what's happening right now. That's what the government is doing to you, to your money, to your life, to your land. They're just taking everything away from you by causing inflation. And I mean, I don't know how this is going to end. We're pretty much in the middle of a war. We're printing money, but we need to find a situation out of this. And the first step is to find an asset that is gaining value against the US dollar. And those kind of assets could be like Meta One, could be Bitcoin, could be you know, a land, could be property. But you need to do your research. You need to get right now with a financial manager and ask him what's appreciating against the US dollar, because the US dollar is in a dead spiral. The US dollar is about to collapse. It is very bad. You know, it's an extremely bad situation. And don't take my word for it. Just go online, do your own research. You know, check how much money the government has of debt, how much they're printing per second. The situation is terrible. So you need to protect yourself. And yeah, I mean, it's a very bad scenario for the US dollar, but it's not bad everywhere. You know, I know I might be scaring some of the people, but it's not entirely terrible. There's other alternatives. One of these alternatives is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is doing pretty well right now. You know, if we just saw the chart, let me bring it again. If we compare it against the US dollar, it's going great. If we, you know, if we take a look back for the last 10 years, you know, a Bitcoin was $100, and right now it's almost $40,000. So there is a solution to what's going on right now, and Bitcoin is just starting to be adopted everywhere. You know, this article just restates what I'm saying. Swiss SGKB Bank just launched a Bitcoin and an Ethereum custody service. This is huge because this is one of the biggest banks in Switzerland, and they're going to be offering cryptocurrency services. Not just Switzerland, you know, Thailand, their second largest bank, Kasikorn Bank. I don't know if I said it right. They just said that they acquired one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges in Thailand, or maybe I don't know if it's the biggest, but they just acquired it. So there's a lot of adoption. You know, the government's already realizing that you know, fiat money is a scam. The US dollar is falling, and that quickly, immediately, they need to figure out a way out of the US dollar, because it just keeps getting worse. And don't take my word for it. Just go to Walmart and compare, you know, how much you were paying in 2020 for a dozen of eggs or for a steak, and compare how much you're paying right now. Compare
Yeah.
how much you were paying for gasoline. Compare how much you're paying right now. So it's just figure out, draw your own conclusions, and you're gonna draw the same conclusions as I am. Justin, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, you know what? I am a little biased, but I honestly personally think that we already have a solution, which is Meta One. And you know, if you think about it, you know, we talk about this all the time, how this is a spiritual war. And I really truly believe that we are in this situation because of our own free will. We've allowed the powers that have been the institutions to get corrupt. We've gotten to this place. We allow the people in Washington to continue to print money because we don't know the truth about the system. We seem to want to ignore the truth about the system, et cetera, even though that the corruption is blatantly out there. So I think that really on a spiritual level, this is God's way of going like, hey, listen, like you are my children and you need to wake up into who you are, remember who you are, and remember that you have free will and that you have a choice to be inside of this situation, inside of this debt slavery system, or you don't. And I just think about this. It's like, what is an amazing alternative to the US dollar? Meta One, it's backed by gold, it's on a blockchain, it can be basically used anywhere in the world. And some people may think, well, how do you get that big that fast, or how do you scale? And it's simply just about peer-to-peer people taking on and deciding to accept this because for goods and services. That's it. And we already have a lot of our members who are accepting it for goods and services for their businesses, and that can grow. Because really, at the end of the day, what gives value to things? Human beings. So if we have, as a society, decide that we want to start using marbles as means of exchange, we could totally start using marbles. We could use rocks.
Yeah.
We could use bags of grass. We could use whatever we wanted, because it is really that. And it doesn't have to, the US government, the governments of the world, they don't have to approve it. They don't have to be involved in it. And the beautiful thing about that is just think about this. We can scale this really quick by simply people, business owners, others deciding that they want to take Meta One as a different currency. And as I've always said before, are we striving to like destroy the system, burn it down, blah blah blah, all of this stuff that you hear from other people sometimes? No, I don't. I know that that's not the vision. The vision is, let's create an alternative solution, an alternative financial system, like we were talking about before, in which you now have a choice. Even if you're a business who takes the US dollar now, you could start taking Meta One, and then you could, as things transition, you start taking less and less dollars and more Meta. It's just about literally the access. It's the access of what can be bought with that means of exchange. That's it. That's the only thing that is really what is going to make scaling fast and easy. So I really believe that it's possible. And what I see is that we have a situation where more and more people every single day are waking up and they're realizing how much of a scam and how much of a messed up system this is, and they don't want to be involved in it anymore. And it's just like when all of the founding fathers left England and they went to the United States to start a new system. They didn't like the English system. They didn't like the way that all worked. So they were like, you know what, we're going to come here and we're going to build something of our own. And that's what we're doing. So I really think that there's massive potential. Obviously, like we've talked about before, we need to go even farther than that, and we need to have multiple different currencies that are on blockchain, that are for example, like a unit of measurement currency, because what do we measure everything against right now? The US dollar. So we want to get away from that completely. We don't want to be saying, oh, this amount of Meta One or this amount of Bitcoin or this amount of Ethereum is worth this much US dollar. It should be more like, this amount of Meta One is worth whatever X units. And that is, a currency that is used only for that, or whatever. But I think that there's massive potential. I'm really excited about it. And I think that it's literally just about our free will on a spiritual level. And what are we going to choose to do? Are we going to choose to let the corrupt government pretend that they're in charge? And are we going to sit by and be passive about it? Because it's really on us. or are we going to go a different direction? And I think that's the thing here, right? Is on a higher
Yeah.
level, this is the problem in this world, is that people don't take accountability. So we are in modern society, at least in Western society, we have gotten so good at blaming somebody else, pointing the finger at somebody else. Oh, this politician did this. Oh, Biden is a criminal. Oh, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm not saying that that's not true, but what I'm also saying too is that it is our responsibility,
Yeah.
each and
What are
every
we
one
doing
of us.
about it?
Sorry.
What are we doing about it?
Yeah, each and every one of us, it's our responsibility. If we're sitting here and letting these people do the things that they're doing, then that's going to be it. And, you know, I mean, I think that we're past the point of hoping that another election is going to change it, or hoping that a letter to your congressman is going to change it. We have to do something bigger than that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, you know, but it's a slow change. I mean, I know that you see it too, but it takes
Yeah.
people time to realize. But also, what happens in these situations when we have these loops over and over again, where the corruption gets more and more blatant, is that every single time one of these things happens, it's an opportunity to wake more people up and have the team get bigger and bigger and bigger. And what I hope for 2024 is that we accelerate that awakening. We you know, that it just accelerates 1,000 times fold, and we start to really see a massive awakening very quickly, where people are like, we need a different solution. Let's change this. Let's move to something else. You know, let's not continue to allow it. You know, because that's the answer. It's like, let's just stop being a part of their system. Because if we stop being a part of their system is over. It's done. You know, it's not going to exist anymore. So, you know, I'm really not pessimistic, the opposite of that, optimistic about the future. And I just think that, you know, this is what we're working for. This is what we're fighting for every single day. And, you know, I think it's just about, like you said, what are you doing about it? That's it. What are you doing about it? It's just like with corporations too, you know, it's like, do you choose to shop at Walmart, or do you not choose to shop at Walmart? Where are you spending your money? Where are you doing where are you doing that? And doing the best that you possibly can do. And of course I understand, you know, everybody is in a certain situation and can only do so much, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, there are things that we can't do anything about, but I think that we still have a lot of power, and I really still truly believe that we can change this world. And why I'm so passionate about this is really not even for myself, you know, because, but I'm passionate about it for my kids and for everyone else's kids, because I want to leave when I decide, when it's time for me to go on to the next world, the next plane of existence. I want to feel like I did something to help make this world a better place, so that our future generations don't have to live in this 1984 Orwellian corrupt-filled world, where we have a different option, a different alternative. And, you know, we're moving towards a place where, you know, like I mentioned last time, that Star Trek, you know, universe, just about, you know, this
Exploring.
shit it's all behind us. We fixed it all. We're all happy now, and we're actually focusing on like raising the consciousness of humanity, and, you know, like meeting other people from other planets and exploring the galaxy. Like, that just sounds awesome to me. So anyway,
Yeah.
my rant is over.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
But anyways, while you were talking, I went on Google, and because you said something that you know, money only has value because we give it value. And you know,
Yeah.
here's a list of what we used as money before. So in the beginning, apparently we used barter. I don't know what that is, but then we use cattle, and we use shells, then we use the first metal money with coins and modern coinage, leather. We use leather as money. Then we use the nose. I have no idea what the nose is. Then we use paper currency, potlatch. No idea what that is. wampum, the gold standard, the end of the gold standard, and then the present. So yeah, you're pretty much what I'm trying to say is that money is not an asset. Money is a tool that we use to give value to assets. And money evolves. It has evolved since the beginning of recorded time till right now. You know, at one point it was shells, it was cattle, then it was metal, and it was paper, and now it's a digital currency. So money is always evolving, and you know the only thing that's gonna have value is what you give it value. And if we all decide that Meta One has value or Bitcoin has value, it's because it does. And you know the main, because I've had people ask me, you know, I get the noobs who say like, well, how does Bitcoin have value? And you know, I always tell them the same answer. Bitcoin has value because it's a technology that's immutable and it's public. So what does that mean? It means that it's a decentralized economy that is not centralized. Okay, so what does that mean? You know, if you use the US dollar, the people that control the dollar are the banks, you know, the Fed, all those institutions, and they can do whatever they want with that money because they can print it and cause inflation, they can finance war, and we have no idea what they're doing with that money because the ledger they use is centralized, so it's private. So if you're like, hey, let's make a change to you know how money works, they're like, well, no, because this is private. This is not a democracy. The ledger is not public, and you know, yeah. So like, good luck. You know, just accept it. And if we use Bitcoin or Meta One or a cryptocurrency, the information is public. You know, you can be anywhere in the world. You know, you can be on the moon with an internet connection, and you can see that the ledger because it's public. So you know how much money is being printed, where it's being sent to, and all of that stuff. And another thing is that so the information is immutable. So this means that it cannot be changed. If you go in on a private ledger, if you use the you know the ledger from the bank, you can just go in there and add an extra zero or remove it, and you know who's gonna complain? Who's gonna know? No one, because the ledger is not public. It's private, and you know we just come out and say, you know, you have these SEC meetings and Fed meetings, and you have Jerome Powell, and he just goes out and he's like, oh, inflation, blah blah blah, and this and that, and you have no idea what's really going on. They say, oh, the actual reported inflation numbers are 4%, and then you go to Walmart and you see that the eggs are 2 times more expensive. So they're just lying,
Yeah.
and we accepted this system where we allow them to have classified information. Nothing. You know, the government works for you, so nothing that the people that work for you should be classified. Nothing, not even Area 51 or aliens. You know, that's just allowing for them to manipulate you. And it's the same thing with private banks. Private banks are like Area 51. The information is classified. No one can know about it. It's just us, and you just have to accept it. And with
Yeah,
Bitcoin and
so
yeah,
true.
yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, I just came up with that analogy, but it's pretty much how it is. And with Bitcoin and crypto, it's totally different. Everything's public, everything's immutable, nothing can be changed, and these are the rules. And you know, if you don't really agree with something, you know, we can get a lot of votes, and you know, you have Bitcoin developers, or you have, I don't know, Ethereum developers, and you know, you can cast a decentralized vote, and they can all agree to, you know, make a fork of the Bitcoin chain, or add Seaweed or Taproot. You know, these are like complicated software things, but my point is that you can make a difference. You can vote. You can say like, hey, let's make this difference on the change on the chain. I'm sorry, to make it more adequate to the times that we're living right now. So that's the monetary system. What everyone counts. You know, every single user has a vote, and you can tell. You know, you could say, hey, let's make Bitcoin better by adding Lightning Network, or increasing the block size, or reducing the rewards, whatever. And with the, you know, that's the power of an economy that embraces its users, that embraces people like Meta One as well. You know, we embrace our people, and you know, a system that's financially fair to everyone. But the US dollar or fiat currencies, they're not. They're like, oh well, these are the rules and we don't care. We're just gonna keep printing money and we're gonna finance terrorism and we're gonna finance wars. And that's pretty much what it is. You know, it might sound like I'm taking it to the extreme, but that's what it is. And, you know, I can go back to the first article that I was sharing, and you know, the US is just gonna borrow 776 billion dollars in the next 3 months. And what are they gonna use that money for? They're gonna finance a war. You know, just a couple of months ago, we had the situation in Hawaii where I think it was the island of Maui that they burned. And what did they do? Did they help anyone? They're like, no, here's $500. We're just gonna keep fighting a war. We're not gonna do anything to help you. You know, just actually, if you have land there, you have to get out of it. You know, you cannot be in your land and do whatever you can. We don't care about you. We don't care about the American people. We're just gonna use. I mean, we can print money out of thin air, and we can use that money to help you. But instead, we're just gonna keep funding Ukraine. We're gonna keep funding Israel. We're gonna keep buying bombs and, you know, weapons, and do whatever you can. And you know, it sounds like I'm being extreme. You know, it feels like I'm trying to make things bigger than what they are. But that's exactly what they're doing. You know, just draw your own conclusions. You know, it's time to use common sense. Right now, is the time for common sense. Everything I just said is exactly as it is. So we
Yeah.
cannot listen to the so we cannot listen to the government anymore because they're just gaslighting you. You know, Joe Biden at the beginning of when he became president, he was like, "No, there's gonna be no inflation. There's gonna be just like tiny bit of inflation." And there's videos. You know, you can go on YouTube and you're gonna find the
Oh
video
yeah,
that
of
I'm talking
course,
about.
man. It's the same repeated cycle, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they all do it. They all do it. Yeah, yeah,
and now he's saying like, "Oh well, it was not me. No, no,
yeah.
no, no. I never said there was gonna be no inflation." So they're just gaslighting you. And that's terrible. But anyways, back to the crypto world. I just wanted to share one final article. I'm pretty sure that many of you are familiar with the situation with Sam Bankman-Fried, which was the CEO of FTX, which stole user funds and did margin trading and leverage and so on, and then lost all of its customer funds. So finally, the trial has ended, I believe, or there might be another court meeting. I'm not 100% sure, but he was charged guilty on 7 counts, and apparently he's gonna face more than 110 years in prison. So lifetime prison for Sam. He is responsible for the largest cryptocurrency scam in the history, and you know, he's gonna pay you know, the debt really bad for what he did. You know, I don't think he's ever gonna see you know, the light of day anymore. The rest of his life is gonna be in jail. And you know, I usually, you know, I know, well, I do have empathy for everyone. You know, I believe empathy is, you know, one of the best things you can have as a human being. But it's hard to have empathy for this guy because he stole everyone's money. I know there were cases where people took their own lives because they didn't know what to do. They lost it everything, and you know, he needs to pay for what he did. But we'll see how it goes. He's not in jail yet. In other news, there was also another arrest for the founders of a cryptocurrency called SafeMoon. I know that this was a currency that was shielded a lot in TikTok, YouTube, on Instagram. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you know about this cryptocurrency. I don't really know why the government went after SafeMoon because, as far as I know, it's a meme cryptocurrency, and you know, there's a lot of meme cryptocurrencies like Shiba Inu, Dogecoin, Pepe, Flocky. You know, there's a lot of meme tokens, and I don't
Well,
know why they're going
we
after these guys.
we know why. We know why, man. It's just another attack. It's like the government just wakes
Yeah,
up in the morning and they're like, hmm.
Yeah.
Who can we mess up today? What are we gonna do
Absolutely.
today? I mean, that's just how it is, man. Especially when it comes
Yeah.
to crypto, at least this year. I feel like 2023 has been the year of the government doing that every morning.
Yeah. Doing quote unquote because they aren't really doing anything, you know? They're just
Exactly.
I guess they're just looking for a fall guy. But anyways, that's
That's
all I have to share, Justin. I don't know if you have any comments or if you want to share any other article.
Yeah, I just had one that I thought was kind of interesting, a cool way that was being used by a cool way of store like preserving data that's being
Mm,
used by somebody we don't know who, it's an anonymous person, but someone is inscribing all of the WikiLeaks famous Afghan war logs on Bitcoin. So what's cool about cryptocurrency too and blockchain technology is it's not just about finance, it's about, it can be any kind of data. I mean, you could build a blockchain that just processes healthcare related data. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. But if people remember, WikiLeaks published a video that shows the U.S. Army killing dozens of civilians, including two Reuters employees during a mission. And WikiLeaks dropped that in 2006. And so what this project is doing is they are basically using NFT technology to inscribe this all of these logs onto the blockchain, the Bitcoin network, so they can never be lost or manipulated. So I thought that was really, really cool. And
yeah.
I also thought it was cool because, this is kind of like a precursor to something I was talking about the other day, which is a blockchain based internet, which I just think is so incredibly important and something that I'm super passionate about and want to see happen. And I know there's others, all over that want to see it happen too, because, we've started to become an internet of censorship in a really big way with all these big tech companies. And I just think that it would be an incredible, it would be absolutely amazing to have a blockchain based internet, especially for, citizen journalists or other people like whistleblowers and things like that, where they could actually publish their data like a WikiLeaks and it could actually never be taken down or manipulated. It really would help to, again, promote truth and transparency and honesty on this planet, and is something that we've gotten completely away from. It's like I was having this conversation with my friend the other day, and because we were talking about Russia, right? And he was talking
Yeah.
about how, you know, Putin's a bad guy and all this kind of stuff. And I was saying, well, I actually really don't know because you actually have you ever actually seen an interview with Vladimir Putin in the Western world or like a speech of his outside
He's
of
very,
like,
very eloquent.
yeah, outside of the couple of things that they show when he comes to the
Yeah.
nations? No, you don't, because he says things that the US government does not want American people to hear. And I'm sure it's like that in other countries in the
Yeah.
I mean in the Western Hemisphere too. But imagine if there was a place where people like that or other just regular people could actually be heard by everybody, and there wasn't this massive censorship that was going on in the mainstream media. So I know we've seen a couple of kind of failed projects that have tried to do like blockchain based YouTube and
Yeah.
these ideas and things like that. But I really think that in the future, that is such a massive thing that needs to be focused on and developed so that we can really have full transparency. Because, yeah, the internet has it revolutionized the way that people communicate and the way that we share information, and has it been incredibly powerful for a lot of we the people based movements? Yes, but there's a massive amount of centralized
Centralization. Yeah.
censorship that goes on now. And if you look at like for what it used to be in the 90s till now, it's totally different, and it's not really open anymore. And and that needs to change. So I just thought this was a cool story, a cool example of how this technology could be used in a way to be able to preserve data and be able to share data with the world and never have it be corrupted or changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if you heard Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually he was trying to do an interview with Putin, and I think the CIA hacked his phone, and
I heard
they told him
this.
like, hey, if you go get that meeting with Putin, you're gonna go to jail, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, man.
So it's incredible. But I agree with you. I've seen videos of Putin talking, and he's very family values oriented. So he's
Yeah,
like,
and like for me, I just say my opinion is I don't really have an opinion of him yet, because I don't, like I say, I don't really feel like I've ever been shown the real truth. I've been to Russia twice. I didn't go there when he was president. It was a long time ago, but the Russian people are amazing people. I still have
yeah,
friends
yeah,
that I
yeah,
met from being there. It's a beautiful country. I mean, I just think that this is what's happening, right? It's the same sort of race baiting that happens in the United States with this fake racism crap. It's like
yeah,
they
yeah,
just
yeah,
try to pin us against each other in whatever way they can get. Russian American, black, white, Jewish, Arab, Muslim, whatever it is, whatever the flavor of the day is.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
like you don't really know what any of these people are really like or what they're really doing. Putin could be a horrible guy at the end of the day. That could be the truth. Or he could be a really good guy. I mean, there's a reason why the Russian people love him so much.
Yeah,
There's a reason for that. And I'm not just saying that because I've heard it in the news. I'm saying it because I know Russians who are like, Putin is amazing. So I'm not saying he's amazing. I don't know that because I just don't have enough information. But I think
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
the point of this, is that, it's just about like we need to have the censorship come off. We need to have this where the truth is really shown to people so that they can all make their own decisions and not try to have this manipulation happen where it's like we're trying to show you this narrative so that you will continue to support us laundering money, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, Twitter is actually doing that right now. So it's the only platform, that I don't know if in the world, but in the area we live, with the platforms we can use, that is not censored. If you go, for
Yeah.
example, on Facebook or on Reddit, on Instagram, all of the left wing platforms, if you at any moment say something that is very close to the truth, you're gonna be censored. Your account's gonna be banned. And the only platform that the left wing calls Twitter a right wing platform, but it's not a right wing platform because Elon Musk actually allows you to publish opinions that are not right wing. It allows you to publish right or left wing. So Twitter right now is the only way where you can actually find real time news. Where what's going on, where you're not gonna get censored. And there's also another platform called Rumble, which is kind of like YouTube, but it doesn't get censored. So right now
Yeah.
there was, I'm pretty sure you heard about the situation with Russell Brand, right?
Oh yeah, man, it's horrible. I mean, what
Yeah,
but that's just an example of how that, if you're not part of the club anymore and you start
exactly.
speaking out about all the people that are in the club, then you're gonna get shut down, you're gonna get canceled, you're gonna get all of those things. I mean, Russell Brand's
Absolutely.
story is amazing. He went from this
Yeah.
very heavy substance user in the club kind of guy, had this spiritual awakening, and now is using his
Yeah.
platform and millions of
Yeah.
followers to be like, look at what these people are doing. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thing. Like, our podcast, to be honest, everybody, there's about 200 people that listen to this on a weekly basis, right? I mean, we're not reaching a ton of people. That's going to grow in the future, but we're not reaching a lot of people right now. So of course we're not going to be a target
They
of
don't
that.
care
But
about
someone
us.
like Russell Brand,
Yeah,
six
yeah, yeah.
million followers, it's like he can make huge ripples, and that's why they try to rip these people down, because they and it's I just think it's awesome. I think what he's doing is amazing, and
Yeah,
I hope he keeps on doing it.
absolutely. I agree. Just look at the guy we have in the picture. This guy, Julian Assange. This guy, he's a hero. He's a hero of the world.
He's a massive
He
hero. Yeah.
he exposed the Pizzagate, the massive pedophilia, and the U.S. government. He exposed all the war crimes that were happening in the U.S. and the world. And what happened to him? He's in jail for crying out loud. He's in jail for exposing the bad people. So
Yeah.
that's people need to understand that that's the situation we're in right now. When people tell you, "Oh, it's a conspiracy theory," Julian Assange. That's it. That's all you have to say,
Yeah,
and that's
man.
where we are.
Yeah.
That's where
And you
we
know
are.
what? Like, like, what a brave man. What a brave man for doing
Yeah,
all of those things the knowing that this was a possibility. And now, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to him. I hope that something, a miracle happens. I
yeah.
think that the possibility that if Trump gets back into office, he may be pardoned. It could
I think
happen.
so. I think that's
Um,
what's going to happen.
I pray that something happens and he gets released, because the guy needs a statue of that guy needs to be built. I mean,
Yeah,
you're one of the bravest people I think I've ever walked this planet, to be exposing that kind of truth at that kind of level and continue to do it, and then I mean, just spend so many years basically confined. I mean, he was in the Ecuadorian consulate forever. I mean, I
yeah,
just
yeah,
can't
yeah.
imagine like being stuck in one building for my entire life. That's like it's
And for
amazing. I
being the
mean,
good guy, for being the good guy, like imagine if you're a bad guy like Sandberg. Okay, this guy's actually the good guy. He's in jail for being good.
well, man, there's so many people in jail for being good. I mean, our jails are full of people who should not be there for whatever reason, and but yeah, I mean, these kinds of people, it's nuts. And I'm sure there's 10 Julian Assanges out there that we don't even know about.
Yeah,
That's the other thing too. So it's
like
hats
Edward
off.
Snowden.
Yeah, hats off to all those people who have braveness inside of them to be able to stand up and to be able to share something like that they know, because there's just a lot. You take on a lot of heat
Yeah,
when you do that, and
absolutely.
you you lose your life. I mean, how long has Julian either been in the Ecuadorian consulate or in jail? I mean, I think it's been what, 15
5
years or
years.
something like
Yeah,
that? A long
I don't
time.
know. Maybe more. Yeah, yeah. I have no idea.
Anyway, but yeah, we're going on and on here, guys. We get a little excited sometimes, but we should probably wrap it up. Really appreciate everyone listening to what we have to share. If any of it was helpful, or you thought was interesting, please share it with friends and family. That's really what helps us show. And like and subscribe as well. And just remember, you have the power. You're the one that you've been waiting for. There's no one else for that free will. If we find all of our free will together, we can make something new, and we're the ones who make the rules, like we are talking about before. We have that power, and for example, we are the ones who choose what has value, what is money, what is not money. That's really what it comes down to, and it's not the people who think that they're in charge. So that's what I have to share. Fernando, do you have any final words before we say goodbye?
Just want to agree with everything you just said. And to all of our viewers, if you like our show, our podcast, please give us a like, subscribe, drop a comment, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.